Hello. Welcome back to my channel. So this video, I'm gonna talk about my Patreon account because since my channel is a variety channel, I have various topics that I talk about. I first began this channel to teach people Amharic, which is the formal language in Ethiopia. And I also, record my travel videos. I have coding videos recently, and I also have videos on, the philosophy of Black womanhood in the West. So, since the whole discussing the metaphysics of existence as a Black woman is pretty niche on the internet, and since I don't want to alienate my subscribers who started with me 8 years ago, more than 8 years ago, when I was teaching Amharic, I created a Patreon channel, a Patreon account. That way you can go to patreon.com/Samri and watch my videos. So I have privated a lot of the videos that I had on my YouTube that talks about, like divesting and such topics. So I have created 3 different tiers. The first tier is my philosophical videos that I had unlisted on YouTube here. And then the second tier is discussing the shadow side of divesting. Like divesting is more nuanced than just wearing weaves and wearing makeup and all that stuff, because I am currently married out. I'm a Black woman who's not married to a Black man. So yeah, there's more nuance to that, and I'm glad the community is talking more about nuances, because the Pink Pill discussed that topic a day or 2 ago. And then the third tier, I'm on Clubhouse, and I've had multiple book studies on these books. They Were Her Property by Stephanie E. Jones Rogers. It's a book that talks about white women as slave owners. And again, you need a lot of nuance to, listen to this book or to read this book without, staying in the anger phase of the grief process, the different stages of grief that I talked about. And I'm also glad that, the concept that I, created the video of has entered the divestment sphere, and everyone is talking about the different stages of grief. You start with in the denial phase, and then anger, and then bargaining, and then acceptance. You need to be in the acceptance phase in order to fully grasp all the points to get from this book, because there's a lot of hurtful things that have been done to Black people by other, tribes of people. And Let's just learn from them instead of staying angry. The Virtue of Selfishness by Ayn Rand. She's a philosopher, and she talks about how it's virtuous to be selfish. And that's the first time I learned about metaphysics. And, like, I took that term and now I'm applying it to what I do, when I talk about my existence as a Black woman. It's very complicated. It's not just, like, all Black women are like that or like this. We don't fit into any specific boxes, and that's okay. So being selfish is very, as far as, like, at least how I define divestment or being divested, you have to be selfish. You have to learn how to live for yourself instead of trying to always, save the community or humanity or even other Black women, right? And then Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I haven't done this book study on Clubhouse, but it's a really good book. I learned about the book and Glennon Doyle from KSC's study on courage. The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Lakiani. This one's pretty good if you're in the tech sector or if you're into, exploring different philosophies and religions and faith groups and stuff like that. And then as a beginning part, I have already posted these videos. These are free. So I had posted this video, Currency of Triggering Black Women, and after I posted this video, I noticed there were a lot of, like, bigger content creators on YouTube who started talking about, how there's something behind why different groups of companies, people, political groups tend to always want to trigger Black women. Again, I am, on one hand, I'm happy that my ideas are going out there and, going into the, I guess, philosophical metaphysical world in Black women communities. But then on the other hand, I'm not getting any monetary benefit out of creating all these videos. Time is money, so I want to make sure that I get paid for my ideas and work. And if you join my Patreon, you will be able to, tell me what topic you want me to discuss next. And then I have this one, The Power of Rescinding Your Energy, where I talk about when Black TikTok content creators stopped creating content, suddenly, the amount of content that came out whenever there's a new music video kind of dried out. So just, another idea where I talk about how it's important to use your own energy and brilliance and mind in order to benefit yourself. Don't let others use your creativity for their own benefit. And then Getting Unstuck from the Anger Phase. I believe I have this on my YouTube channel. This is the video where I talk about the different phases of grief and how it seems like black women, most black women, I would say, in general, I'm speaking in generalities, are kind of stuck in the anger phase. And, because when you go from, let me view that post. Okay. When you go from being unaware to being aware of how, basically, how the world really is. You come out of your fairy tale mindset, and then when you become aware of all the things that have been done to black people in general, and then black women in specific, then you come into awareness, and then you start your, journey in, going from being in denial about how the black community treats black women and girls, and then you start getting angry. A lot of black women in general are stuck in the anger phase. And then, you bounce back and forth between anger and bargaining. And then from bargaining, there's depression. Because after you're angry and you start bargaining about like, oh, maybe it's not too bad. Oh, it might be worse in, outside of the black community, blah, blah. And then you start, you get into the depression phase because you realize that you basically have no one by your side, basically, and that you have to start your own, what KSC calls the tribe of one journey, where you're by yourself. And then the ultimate goal is to go into the acceptance phase. You need to accept the world the way it is, instead of bargaining about, oh, it's not too bad, or oh, it's actually not like this, or constantly burning in anger here in this stage. So yeah, whenever you learn about something, make sure to, of course, go through the phases, because it's important in your journey to go through, like all these different stages. But the ultimate goal is to go to the acceptance stage. Okay. Okay, cool. And then I talk about the book by Eugene Roberts, where he has a book on the splintering of Black America. And in his view, Black America splintered off in the 1960s, right around where MLK Jr. and Malcolm X got assassinated. So a lot of Black America went into the abandoned class, or lower class, or the permanent underclass. Then there's the multiracial, multicultural immigrant population. Then there's the emergent class, which is the middle class. Then there's the transcendental, super uber rich groups. And then recently I made this video. It's really short, but it talks about how here, let's see, there's you in the center, and then there's the your personality of like different things that you deal with just by yourself, things you deal with when you're alone. And this is also why people try to avoid being alone at all costs, because they don't want to deal with themselves. and all these difficult questions about life and existence. And then on the outside is other women, and they also look at you and you look at them. And then on the outside is men in general, any other, men in general, no matter their tribe or color or race. And then so I talk about how Black women deal with so many different judgmental bodies, right? There's yourself, then there's other women who are also judging you, judging how you're dressed, how you're carrying yourself, how Monique, is it Monique or the comedian who talks about wearing bonnets and stuff like that. And then, of course, men look at women, look at you, and they judge how you are dressed, how you look. And then other tribes is non-Black people. So just be aware that that's going on, so that you're not it helps with your mental health when you are aware of like all these factors that are weighing on your subconscious. Okay, so and then let's see what I have scheduled. So I have this affirmative action and imposter syndrome. I basically talk about how affirmative action has made it so that everyone feels like, Joy L, I do want to encourage you to stick with your YouTube a little longer because you get paid after you reach 1,000 subscribers and watch time. People have to have content to view to get you to being paid. Your channel has grown since I found you, and I know it'll continue to grow, but don't stop too soon. Hello. Yeah, definitely. Like, I'll still post videos on YouTube. It's just there are some content that should stay within the what KSC calls the sister circle, right? Other, men don't need to know what we're dealing with, or like our inner think, psychology and stuff like that, right? Because they can use it against us. Other tribes of women don't need to know what Black women, all the shadow sides of Black women either, right? So that's what I'm keeping in Patreon. So there's these videos on online dating. I really like this one, the online dating hacks for Black women, where I give some tips on what Black women can do. And then, so I have this, I drew this image because I wanted to illustrate a Black woman putting on her oxygen mask on first. And when I was thinking about that, I didn't have any, I Googled images on, putting your oxygen mask on first. And all the images, they don't have Black women putting their, right? Like when you go on planes, they have this booklet that shows images of usually women and sometimes men putting on their oxygen mask on first before they help someone who needs help, like a kid. So I was like, okay, so if there is no image of black women wearing, putting on their oxygen mask on first, I will create it myself. Right? You can do it yourself. You can like Google, you know, all these images, and you will never see black women represented as like saving themselves first. And this is a good example of social metaphysics, right? If you don't see others who look like you doing something, then you're less likely to do it yourself. Yeah. Other, you know, groups of women are encouraged to, you know, be selfish and take care of themselves first. Whereas black women, we don't even get images of, you know, airplane booklets that show black women wearing their oxygen mask on first. So what does that say about the world, that they don't want us to wear our own oxygen mask on first? So yeah, so that's how I think. Anyways, so that's the kind of video that's going to be on Patreon. Okay. Thank you for watching. And again, it's patreon.com/Samri. And see you there.